right, hello, Mile High Chiro Nation. This is Dr. Joel Kinch. I am here with Dr. Patty Cosmelli. Hello, Patty.
Hi, Joel. How are you?
We thank you for joining us for the Mile High podcast. It's Dr. Danny Knowles' brainchild to get this out. It is all about you. This podcast is all about you, Patty, because we want to get to know you. We have a powerful chiropractic woman coming out to Mile High August 18th. If you haven't been to the website, those that are watching here, milehighchiro.org is where you can register. Dr. Patty Cosmelli from Tampa, Florida will be on stage bringing some chiropractic stuff. First and foremost, you and I have been in this for a long, long time. So I want to know, chiropractic, how you got into it.
Okay. I have a really awesome, relatable story. I was a really, really sickly kid. I think my mom may have had some issues with my labor, and that's where it all started. And so throughout my whole childhood, I don't remember a week or a time that went by that I was not at the doctor's office or I wasn't taking some form of medication, because I had a lot of immune system issues, from bronchial, from urinary, to it was just constantly on antibiotics or on some kind of pain pill of some sort. And so that was my childhood growing up, aside from the fact that I was very active. And that, which was helpful to me because I was almost asthmatic, but I wasn't. But that's how so symptomatic. I just had constant symptoms all the time. So, and as I grew up, I was very attracted to gymnastics. So I started doing that, and you know how difficult that can be and how challenging on the body. And I had a lot of falls. So that led into having a pretty severe scoliosis. And I didn't know that for a long time. I didn't discover that until my later teen years. And at the time, it was either medication or it was going to be surgery, because I had a 30-degree curve that was it's pretty significant, and debilitating, especially in the thoracic area, which was, I think, the connection between that and having a lot of lung issues and breathing issues. And so a friend of mine who I had gone to high school with was going to see a chiropractor, and he said, you know what? With all the issues you have, it just seems to me like you should see my chiropractor friend in Miami. I grew up in Miami. Great town to grow up in the 70s. It was just awesome. The beach was my backyard. And so I said, you know what, as long as I'm not going to get any more pills, because I was just sick and tired of taking so much meds, or if they're not going to tell me that I may need surgery. And he said, no, I promise you, you're not going to get any of that. So I said, okay, I'll go. And at the time of that first visit, I'll never forget this, because I had to that point developed such severe spinal issues that I could not elevate my arms past this without having excruciating stab-liking pain into my cervical and thoracic area. So I went and I got checked, very specific adjustment. I didn't know at the time what it was. Obviously, now looking back, I know exactly what he was doing. And I went to what he would call his health class, where he explained what it is that chiropractic is, how it fits into your lifestyle, and how it really works. And it made sense to me. For the first time in my life, someone explained to me how this human body functions, what it does, how it heals, how taking meds, all they do is mask a situation, not cure the problem or correct it. And so he talked about correcting the cause, and I'd never heard these words before. And so as a 19-year-old that just wanted to, live life and be happy and healthy, it just sounded like such hope for me, which I did not have at the time. And I honestly, I think back so much about my journey in healing and getting better. I feel that if I had not been introduced to chiropractic at that time in my life, today I would either be in a wheelchair or I would really be dead. That's how the path that my life was taking at the time. So I started getting care. and I started getting better. My symptoms started dissipating. I threw away all my medication that night that I heard that message, and I've never looked back. Um, it changed my life so much that I said, you know what? I have to do this. And school did not come easy for me. It never had come easy for me. So it was a challenge. But I didn't care because the desire to give someone else what was given to me was bigger than the challenge that I was facing with the scholastic aspect of it. So it didn't matter. I didn't care. I would climb any mountain to become a chiropractor that would be able to help somebody else. And so now I'm in this position. I look back, and it's such a blessing in so many ways. So that's how I got into chiropractic.
It got you fired up, and then so you're a life grad, right?
I am a life grad.
A life grad. So tell me about getting into school and how you ended up back in Florida practicing.
Well, I went. The only school that my chiropractor friend, told me to go to was Life College, that's what it was called at the time when Sid Williams was running the show. Great chiropractor, by the way, great mentor to have, and he taught me what having a life of purpose is, because I had never heard that at the time either. And that was very meaningful to me, because to have a life that gives purpose to many, many more, it was just so meaningful to me. So I checked out Life College, and I moved there, started school, went through school, and I ended up here back in Tampa because my family was living in Miami, and I knew that I wanted to live in Florida again. But I didn't want to move back to Miami. Miami at the time was just a little too crazy for me, and I love going back to visit. It's just that so Tampa was just the right tone of a city for me. So, and I love Florida, so it was a no-brainer to come here.
Fantastic. And it's Tampa now, right?
It is Tampa.
Yeah. So any of those who want to follow up with Patty, see more about her, you can go to it's realmtampa.com, correct?
Yes.
realmtampa.com. So now, you and I talked briefly before we got on about how 20 plus years now we're those chiropractors, where those kids and graduates look out and go, those practicing 20 years. But what they don't realize is that transformation is happening right when you come out of school. At the 2-year mark, 5-year mark, every day there's transformation going on. And you've been going through some transformation. And I've been blessed to participate with you on that along the way, seeing you around and about. And whenever we sit down and talk, we always talk for hours, just because, by the way, we get going on. So tell us about maybe where you were practicing and how you're practicing, and how that has morphed or transformed into how you're practicing now.
Well, how I got ingrained into chiropractic was based on the principles that Sid Williams taught, which was to love, to give, and to serve. And although I still hold those dear to my heart, it is not the only way that I practice, because that mentality, that way of doing a business was not long-term sustainable for myself. Okay, we did a lot of insurance. And we gave a lot of service away, a lot, to the point where I was feeling like, is anybody really valuing what it is that I'm doing it, because I'm giving it away for free? And Sid talked a lot about that. He talked about just giving, loving your into service so much that you just give it away. And you can't pay your bills on giving your service away. It's just not.
Yeah.
The numbers just won't add up after.
And it's detrimental to the person receiving the chiropractic care.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
Absolutely.
They have no value, and those that don't have the value, it's a tough. They don't get the results. Those that have the value and are paying for the care. Yeah.
Exactly.
Back when I started going, I went through very similar process as you. When I came out and was just serving, when I heard business in chiropractic, what I thought about was insurance, the business of insurance. How do we get paid by insurance? That's the business of chiropractic, when it's not. And it took me almost 20 years to hear it, right, and get it.
Right.
So, how did you get it? What was the switch for you?
Well, at the time of my life, I was going through some very drastic personal changes in my personal life, and I found somebody that intrigued me by a thousandfold, and his name is Mark Swordlick. Uh,
Who by the way will be speaking at Mile High. Think
yes,
about it. And if you're watching this podcast, hate to interrupt you, but I do got to promote for Danny. If you're
absolutely.
watching the podcast, you got to get to the milehighchiro.org website. If you're not registered, get registered for August 18th, 19th, and 20th out here in beautiful Denver, Colorado. You'll be seeing amazing chiropractors like Patty, like Dr. Mark Swordlick, who will hopefully find out a little bit with what's going on with you. So, Patty, sorry for interrupting, but you met Mark. Tell me a little bit about Mark.
I met Mark, and his incredible love for chiropractic and his tone and his ability to explain how you can make this a sustainable business by still being a great chiropractor with very, very principled way of practicing really caught my attention. I had never really heard the word business and principle and value all in the same sentence and working together. And so it really caught my attention. And so I started asking questions because I'm very inquisitive. In a very good way. And so, and because of how incredible he is, he took the time and just, we became very close friends over this course of the past few years. And I've just completely transformed the way I approach and the way I speak, the way I communicate, the way I market, the way I bring value to my patients. And interestingly enough, I was just telling him the other day that very interesting thing is happening. A lot of people that used to come in for almost free are coming back into my practice. I'm explaining what it is that I'm doing from a completely different mindset, and they are paying. They're paying, they're signing up and paying and getting the corrective care that they need with a true understanding of what it is that they're getting. And it's just it's so refreshing. It's so different and so much easier.
Yeah, and it's powerful coming from a man who has the credentials, has the education, but more importantly for you and I think why it's so important that he comes to events like this is he loves chiropractic.
Oh my gosh.
He loves the principle. He talks subluxation. He is in the trenches. So he is in there practicing, even though with everything else going on in his life, but the communication skills and seeing you right now reminds me of the students that I talk to now. That there's that reinvigoration, there's that passion, there's the fire's back on,
Yes.
if you will, in this. So having you on stage and Mark on stage and a docket full of chiropractors coming to stage a Mile High, it's going to be fun to hear you guys, because if you're not registered, why you need to be there is this is not rah-rah. Yes, we'll be fired up about chiropractic, but you're going to be bringing some things to the table for people to take back to practice. And it didn't click for me earlier on when we were talking, but it did now, that you're the path you took as a child to get to chiropractic is almost why you're so passionate about what you're doing in your practice now, right?
It is very much so about that.
Yeah, so tell people about your one of your main focuses in practices, who it is, I should say. Who do you focus on?
All my little people, my children, the kids, the babies, they are just so fun and amazing. And if I tell you what, if you are not checking kids on a regular basis in your practice, I don't know what you need to do, but you need to get out there and promote, market your families and kids, because it makes coming into work, your practice, so much fun.
Yeah.
They bring joy, they laugh. I mean, what's the best noise in the whole world is the laughter of a child, you know? And they love to get adjusted. They don't complain. You get results, and you get a hug after you get done. At least I do.
Yeah. And And I'm hoping you bring to the table of you cranial sacral work you do a lot
I do a lot of cranial work, and that's so magical, so powerful for kids. They respond like this.
Awesome. And you'll be talking about that. And I will be very anxious to hear the way you communicate to a parent to bring the value to have a child checked. That's got to be huge, not just back in the day, hey, we got family, just hop on up. We got family programs, just hop on up and check. But building that value in the why in a child, I
Absolutely.
hope you bring to the table. I pray you bring to the
I
table.
will. Now that you're bringing it up, I'm going to add that in. So thank you
Good,
for that.
good,
I
good.
will, absolutely.
So Patty Cosmelli out there in podcast land. She practices in Tampa, Florida. RealmTampa.com is her website. She will be joining us August 18th, 19th, and 20th in Denver at Mile High. Get to milehighchiro.org. Patty, thank you so much for your time, your double time today here on Thursday. I can't wait to see you at Mile High. I'll see you in the Berkshires in 3 weeks. Everybody out there in podcast land, God bless you. Bye, Patty.
Bye, Joel.
Take care.
You too.
Like our page on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Mile High Chiro.